So guys, what's going on? Guys, firstly, I want to thank everybody. My likes on my channel have gone up, and I really appreciate that you guys are showing support. Really appreciative, because what it shows is how many people are actually watching my videos, and that obviously makes me feel good. It makes me feel like there's a lot of people watching, and this is worth my while, and there's a lot of people that are watching me, leaving their comments, and it's really appreciative. And I actually had Ducky, who watches my videos, Ducky H, said to me that, Imran, I used to watch your videos, but I never smashed the like button because I never really knew it helped. But then only when I explained that how much it helps and how much it pushed the video goes, I'm smashing the like button on every video. And it really shows that how much it helps, because sometimes what happens is when the algorithm's down, the views and that can, you know, it happens. Sometimes your views go down and they go up. But by you guys smashing the like button, because your loyal subscriber base is always going to watch your videos. If they're smashing the like button, right? They're smashing the like button, then YouTube, what they do is they push your videos out more, as I've explained it many times, and it helps. So that's why I can't thank you guys enough. And you guys can do so much to help my channel. Share the videos and stuff. It really helps. It really helps. Really helps. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure soon, like, it may be even a catch line for me, smash that like button, even though it's probably said by so many people on YouTube. I always see so many YouTube and content creators say, smash that like button, smash that like button, smash that like button. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the support. But let's get into this. Chris Eubank and Billy Joe Saunders. You know, Billy Joe Saunders responded to the comments of Chris Eubank saying he quit against Canelo by saying, give me 5 million and I'll beat you up again. Billy Joe Saunders wants that smoke. I think Billy Joe Saunders knows that's the right fight. I think Billy Joe Saunders knows that that's really the fight for him. I think Billy Joe Saunders understands that, you know, that would definitely be a big fight. And a lot of people seem to think Billy Joe might retire. I do think the 5 million demand is probably unrealistic at this point, because neither of them are world champion. Is that fight big? Billy Joe Saunders is coming off a surgery and an eye injury. What has he got left? I think we will, as fans, want to see. Some people will say that it's unrealistic, but to be honest with you, with the money out there in boxing and sport in the current climate, I don't think it's out of the question 5 million, because I still think that fight has legs. Because depending on what Billy Joe Saunders is left, and I don't think he's going to go into a fight with, you know, having said that, he may do, because Billy Joe Saunders is not fighting for, you know, what is he fighting for now? He's fighting for, you know, if he's going to come, he's going to be fighting for money, because he's had that big fight with Canelo. It didn't work out. So once you lose your O, you don't really care about the O. You just want to go in and fight and make money. And even if it means that, you know, you risk yourself taking another loss, it is what it is, you know. I feel like Billy Joe Saunders didn't really get a lot of big fights. And this would definitely be a big fight. This would definitely be a high-profile fight, because when he fought Eubank the first time, it wasn't really a big deal, in the sense that, yeah, it was a grudge, but it was between two guys that was British level, and not many people knew them at that point, to be honest with you. I remember that being talked about, and I remember a guy that comes, you know, Tony McKenzie, former British light welterweight champion, we were talking about it, and he was telling me about Eubank and Billy Joe, and at the time, nobody really knew about those guys. They weren't even known. They were like, I remember it was a while ago, and I was into boxing at that point. You know, not as much as I am now, but I was definitely into boxing at that point. But, you know, those guys were relatively unknown at that point, and they were fighting each other. Eubank was obviously named because of his father, and, you know, so he had that leg up, whereas Billy Joe had to kind of work his way through up. But yeah, it wasn't really a fight that was talked about. So the fight happening now, both those guys have fought at world level. Both those guys have had good wins. And it's an opportunity now to really capitalize and make big money for both guys. I think it's a massive opportunity. Do I think the fight will happen? I believe so. I believe the fight happens. I believe if Billy Joe fights on, there's no one really out there. And I think that's a big payday. Now, Chris Eubank has said that, you know, stop running, or he said something like, you know, stop backing out, or something like that. But I don't think Billy Joe's backing out. And to be honest with you, I think Billy Joe's style is all wrong. The only thing is now with the eye injury and what the Billy Joe's hunger, and we know with Billy Joe that he kind of is not very disciplined fighter. and he goes off the boil. So again, all of those things don't really, especially as you get older, don't really bode well. And you know, Billy Joe back in the day didn't have great stamina. So again, these are all things that could come back to hurt him. I do think Chris Eubank would have a great shot now, because like I said, his eye injury suffered. You know, that's a serious eye injury. Is he even going to come back from that? We don't know. That's a good fight. I think it's a great fight, and I think if Eubank comes through this guy, I think I would prefer Eubank to maybe go fight for a world title and look to win it, a fight with Murata. But Murata is going to fight Golovkin, and then Eubank is talking about a fight with Golovkin. Billy Joe saying he wants 5 million. There is a lot of money around in boxing in the current climate. However, I don't think that fight's that big, to be honest, to generate 5 million. I think there needs to be a world title on the line, or there needs to be something to play for. I don't think you can generate that kind of money. And neither, although, you know, they're decentish names, I don't think Eubank and Saunders are that big names. Like, I still feel like Khan and Brook can still generate that kind of money. That's probably because Khan's commercially a much bigger star than Saunders and Eubank. And, you know, I even think Brook's probably bigger than Saunders and Eubank as well. Or he's definitely on par with both of them anyway. And Khan commercially is bigger than those guys in terms of, you know, profile and the kind of links he has, the fact that he's WBC president. So he has a lot of links in Saudi Arabia. I wouldn't be surprised if a fight like Khan Brook goes to Saudi Arabia. Whereas I think Eubank and Billy Joe don't really have that opportunity. That fight will probably be here, and it probably sell out a stadium. You know, again, it depends on, because what you got to realize is that Eubank's not really hit the heights that, you know, people initially thought. Billy Joe, yeah, he's become world champion, but, you know, he's not a world champion at the minute, and he's just lost to Canelo, and he's suffered an eye injury. So people are gonna want to see them, you know, have some good wins or have a good win, you know, before, you know, they fight. And even because if they were to fight next, would people really be interested? Would people care? Possibly, you know. But to be honest with you, I don't think it's that big a fight. You know, is it that big? Is it the kind of, is it big it's big, but is it big to the point where they would get the money? Like Billy Joe's asking for 5 million. Like, it's not that big. It's nowhere near that level. You know, it's nowhere near that level. So I don't think so. I don't think he gets anywhere near that kind of money. I think like I said, there'd have to be a title on the line. And let's not forget, if Eubank wins the title, Billy would be a B-side. Even though he's beat Eubank, he'd be a B-side in that fight. So, because like I said, commercially, Eubank's probably as big, if not a bigger name, because of his father. Yeah, Billy Joe's been a world champion, you know, but Eubank, if he becomes a world champion, you know, I do think Eubank can become a world champion against the right opponent. I know some people seem to think he can't. I believe against the right guy, he can. It just depends on who he fights. I believe if he fights the right type of opponent, I think he can become world champion. But yeah, time will tell. I would like to see that fight. But I would like Eubank to push on and fight for a world title. Eubank's kind of, like, a lot of people seem to think Eubank's not that good. I disagree. I think Eubank can fight. I just think Eubank's career's not been pushed. I feel like the management of his career has not been the greatest. I think it should have been a lot better. He should have been directed a lot better, which I don't think he has. You know, whether you want to blame his father or whatever, but the fact is, I just don't think he's been managed that well. I don't think he's really maneuvered his career like it should have been. And if it was maneuvered better, I do think he could have definitely by now become a world champion. You know, remember, like, look at the guy that George Groves beat, Chudinov. If Eubank had fought someone like that, he would have become world champion. This is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it's all about maneuvering and getting yourself into that position. And unfortunately, Eubank didn't do that. Eubank didn't get himself into position. You know, if Eubank and his team looked to win a world title, like they were, oh, we want IBO world champion, but that's not a legitimate title. I believe Eubank could have won a legitimate title. See, now it's difficult because at 168, he has a chance because eventually the belts are going to spread. Canelo's most likely not going to, is he going to look to defend those belts if he wins against Plant? Probably not. You know, he'll probably think that there's other opportunities out there. So this is what I'm saying. I personally think that there's going to be opportunities that arise for Eubank, you know, if he holds tight. But again, it's about maneuvering yourself, you know, into a position where you can fight, you know, these guys. But let's see how his career unfolds. You know, he is with Kali Sauerland. Hopefully they can maneuver him into a world title shot. The thing is, even if he fights Golovkin, you know, I don't favor him in that fight. So the chances are I would favor Golovkin to win that fight. So I don't know. I feel like when you haven't become a world champion, you need to maneuver yourself into a position where you become world champion first, you know, and then after that, if you look at what someone like Khan did, for example, he became a unified champion. You know, to be fair to him, he beat a lot of good competition as well. And I don't know whether Chris Eubank is capable of beating the competition at the level of what Khan beat, but the fact is that I think the difference. I think the differences between the two guys is that Khan obviously was capable of beating the world champions, whereas Eubank might not be able to. But the fact is, Khan later on in his career decided to then go for the money fights, even though there was other fights out there where I feel that his career should have been managed better, where he could have become world champion again. There were so many guys out there, but Amir Khan just didn't fight, you know, those guys, and he went for the top guys because he was more after the legacy fights, the big fights that make him great. But that's where he went wrong, because Amir Khan could have, you know, put himself in a greater position by winning more titles, becoming a 2-3 weight world champion. And that's what a lot of guys do. You know, like Adrian Broner, 4-weight world champion, but a lot of you would struggle to name who he beat for those 4 titles. And this is what I mean, that sometimes it's all about picking and choosing your fights and trying to just, you know, enhancing your legacy. Rather than going into big fights and against pound for pounders and losing, you rather, you know, fight guys and just win titles. That's what I think a fighter should do. And then eventually, once you hold these feats, you're a 2-3 weight world champion. The big fight's gonna come. Like for Billy Joe, 2-weight world champion. Although, you know, again, you know, he didn't fight stellar competition, but he became a 2-weight world champion. The Canelo fight presented himself, you know, and that's what I feel like you should do. I feel like Eubank should do is look to become a world champion. That should be his goal, because he's getting on, and it's not going to get any easier, because the divisions are getting tough around there, 160, 168. They're not going to be easy. So what he should do is, I think he should just look to maneuver his way into a world title fight. That would be that for me should be his goal. And then hopefully, let's see, you know, if this Billy Joe Saunders fight can come off. And in terms of who wins the fight, I think it's a proper 50-50. I wouldn't favor anyone. I think I would favor Billy Joe if Billy Joe was well, like, you know, with eye injury and stuff. We don't know, but you've got to bring that into consideration now, because he suffered that. He suffered an eye socket fracture. So you've got to bring that into it. So for me, it's a 50-50 because of that. I would probably favor Billy Joe if, you know, he didn't have that injury. But again, I've always felt like if they fought again, the fight would be close again. I didn't ever look at the first fight was close, right? I think it would be close again. I don't think it was a case where, I think Lemieux was different. I don't think Chris Eubank. I think Chris Eubank has better feet than Lemieux. Lemieux was very, 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 very poor footwork. And although he had power, which Eubank doesn't have, Eubank has fast hands, which Lemieux doesn't have. You have to literally stand in the pocket and trade with Lemieux for him to beat you. Otherwise, if you box and stay, you know, he telegraphs his punches. It's, you know, it's going to be difficult for him to beat someone like Billy Joe. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, I hope this Eubank fight comes off. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.